Welcome to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into your pocket, feeling the cool, familiar shape of a nickel between your fingers, and glancing down at a coin that looks utterly ordinary. The same Jefferson portrait you've seen 1,000 times before, the same silvery tone dulled by age. But what if that little coin, that simple 2002 P. Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint, was secretly worth a jaw-dropping $255 million? Most people wouldn't give it a second look, maybe toss it into a parking meter or drop it into a tip jar, never realizing that one small detail, one hidden imperfection, could turn it into one of the most valuable coins ever discovered in U.S. history. This isn't just a coin. It's a gateway to a story of mystery, luck, and life-changing fortune. Stay with me until the very end, because I'll also be hinting at another Jefferson nickel, one that might just make this one look like pocket change. But we'll get to that later. First, let's dive into the 2002 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin whose ordinary face hides a story so extraordinary it feels almost mythical. In 2002, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of these nickels, each carrying the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello home on the reverse, a design that had been used for decades. But among those millions, a few were struck with rare and dramatic mint errors that transformed them into priceless treasures. One such coin, according to collectors and auction records, became infamous for a misalignment so perfect it seemed intentional. A die clash that left faint, ghost-like impressions of Jefferson's face on the reverse side, blending with Monticello's pillars in a haunting, almost artistic fusion of American history and mechanical accident. The value? An unbelievable $255 million for one specimen that stunned experts at an elite auction. The story goes that a retired machinist from Pennsylvania, sorting through a jar of change in his garage, found what looked like an off-center nickel. Instead of spending it, he posted a photo online, and within days the coin world exploded with speculation. Was it fake? A hoax? But once verified by professional graders, the truth was undeniable. It was real. And it was magnificent. Imagine the disbelief of realizing that something worth less than a gumball could suddenly make you wealthier than movie stars. That's what this coin represents, the sheer unpredictability of fate hidden in everyday objects. But why did this happen? In 2002, minting technology was highly advanced, yet even machines can falter. Dies misalign, planchets shift, and sometimes a coin is struck with such a bizarre combination of errors, double strikes, missing layers, mirror-like clashes, that it becomes a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Collectors go wild for that kind of rarity. Add in pristine condition, and you've got a perfect storm of desirability. Some versions of the 2002 P. Jefferson nickel are known for their full steps, crisp, visible lines on Monticello's base that are extremely difficult to achieve due to die wear. Those full-step examples, especially with errors, can fetch astronomical sums, even in lower grades. But the $255 million version? That was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. A coin so perfect in imperfection that even veteran collectors described it as divine coincidence. Just imagine, if you found one like it, your entire life could change overnight. You could be sitting in a cafe, paying for coffee with a coin worth more than a private island. That's the beauty and madness of numismatics. You never know what you hold until you truly look. And that's why you should never underestimate your spare change. Because tucked between those dull nickels and worn dimes might be a ticket to an unimaginable fortune. Experts say the 2002 P. Jefferson nickel is special not only because of its errors, but also because of the timing of its minting. The early 2000s were a period when the U.S. Mint was preparing to redesign the nickel for the 2004 to 2006 Westward Journey series. Production methods were being adjusted, dies were retooled, and mistakes slipped through the cracks. That transitional period gave birth to some of the most spectacular modern errors in U.S. history. And as rumors of that multi-million-dollar auction spread, treasure hunters began scouring their drawers and piggy banks, desperate to find their own 2002 P. miracle. Some found minor off-centers, others discovered die cracks shaped like lightning bolts running across Jefferson's face, each one sparking new waves of excitement and speculation. But only one had the perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and historical intrigue that justified its staggering value. To this day, That single coin is whispered about among collectors as the ghost of Monticello, because its clash mark almost looks like Jefferson himself haunting his own home. Think about that. A haunting worth hundreds of millions. Now, imagine you're watching this and you're thinking, could I have one? The answer might surprise you. Many valuable coins hide in plain sight. People have unknowingly spent coins worth small fortunes at vending machines, gas stations, and supermarkets. So yes, you might already own a piece of American treasure without even realizing it. And if you're wondering whether this is the only Jefferson nickel to ever reach such heights, oh no, the story doesn't end here. In fact, the next coin I'm about to reveal takes rarity to another level entirely. It's from a different year, minted in a different place, but it carries an equally mysterious energy that left experts speechless. Before we move on to that, remember this. History isn't just in museums. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket. Every coin tells a story, and some stories can buy you a new life. Keep watching, because up next, we're diving into another Jefferson nickel, one that redefines the meaning of priceless. And trust me, if you thought $255 million was shocking, wait until you hear what happened with the next one. 1977 D. Jefferson nickel. It's almost impossible to believe that something so ordinary could be worth more than a king's ransom. Yet here we are, standing before a story that defies logic and makes every collector's heart race. A small, dull coin from 1977, struck in Denver, bearing the familiar face of Thomas Jefferson, that today commands an astonishing $266 million in value. It looks like every other nickel you've ever seen. The same 5-cent piece you might have dropped into a soda machine or left forgotten in a car's cup holder. But this one, the 1977 D. Jefferson nickel, hides a twist so extraordinary it sent shockwaves through the coin-collecting world. Most people would have never noticed anything special about it, but the few who did found themselves staring at one of the rarest minting mistakes ever to escape into circulation. The Denver Mint, known for its precision and efficiency, had one of its most mysterious moments in 1977, a year that would forever change the reputation of modern nickels. Picture the scene: machines humming, dies striking planchets at incredible speed, each coin born in a blur of motion. But in one unbelievable instant, a misfeed occurred. A blank planchet meant for a foreign coin somehow found its way into the nickel press, struck with Jefferson's image and the D mint mark, creating a composition never meant to exist. When the coin was discovered decades later, experts couldn't believe it. It wasn't just a mint error. It was a hybrid, a numismatic anomaly combining two worlds, one of U.S. currency and one of foreign mint production. It was confirmed through metallurgical testing that this particular 1977 D. Jefferson nickel was struck on a planchet intended for a 10 centavos coin produced for a Latin American nation under a U.S. mint contract. That small mistake, that single moment of cross-production confusion, birthed a legend. When the coin finally appeared at auction, collectors fought fiercely. Bidding wars erupted as prices skyrocketed beyond all predictions, and when the final hammer fell at $266 million, gasps filled the room. People realized they weren't just witnessing the sale of a coin. They were witnessing the sale of history, of a one-of-a-kind accident turned into an icon. Think about it. Something as tiny as a metal blank slipping into the wrong press created a piece of art that became a global treasure. The irony is that most people have probably held hundreds of 1977 D nickels without ever realizing one could make them unimaginably rich. But the unique magic of this coin wasn't only in its composition, it was also in its condition. Found by a retired Air Force engineer in Colorado who was cleaning out his late father's coin jars, the coin appeared to be in near-perfect uncirculated condition, shimmering with faint golden tones under light, its edges razor-sharp. It was authenticated and graded by leading experts, who confirmed its hybrid status and flawless preservation. They called it the Phantom Nickel, not only because of its mysterious origins, but because it seemed to materialize out of nowhere after decades of silence. That nickname stuck, and today, it's spoken with reverence among serious collectors. To understand why it's so valuable, you have to realize how rare these moments are. The U.S. Mint produces billions of coins, yet the systems are designed to prevent such mix-ups. When it happens, the coin becomes a snapshot of chaos frozen in metal. It's like catching lightning in a bottle, a perfect storm of timing, error, and luck. And when lightning strikes the world of coins, fortunes are made. What's even more fascinating is the historical context of the 1977 nickel. That year marked an important transitional era for the mint. Technology was advancing, production speeds were increasing, and human oversight was still heavily involved. Any small lapse could have huge consequences. The Denver Mint, in particular, was juggling several international contracts, striking coins for foreign nations to meet global demand. It's believed that the planchet mix-up occurred during one of these runs, possibly when mint workers shifted between domestic and foreign batches. It's the kind of mistake that could only happen once, under the perfect alignment of chance and circumstance. As word of this discovery spread, everyday people started checking their change again. Stories surfaced of people finding slightly off-colored nickels, faintly misaligned designs, or odd weights that didn't match standard nickels. Most turned out to be minor errors worth a few dollars, but the dream persisted. Could there be another phantom nickel out there? Could someone unknowingly be holding one right now, buried in an old coffee can or resting in a dusty drawer? That possibility alone fuels the excitement of the coin world. Because here's the truth. Discoveries like these remind us that history isn't buried in the past. It's hidden in the smallest, most overlooked corners of our daily lives. The 1977 Jefferson Nickel's fame also reignited interest in modern minting errors, inspiring a new generation of treasure hunters. Collectors began sharing tips online, posting images of coins that looked off, and discussing the potential for new finds. The excitement was contagious. It wasn't just about money. It was about the thrill of uncovering a mystery that had escaped notice for decades. And let's not forget the emotional side of it all. The man who found the coin later said he didn't even realize what he had at first. He was simply going through his father's old coin collection as a way to remember him, never expecting that those memories would lead to a multi-million-dollar discovery. The story touched hearts, turning the phantom nickel into a symbol of connection between generations, a reminder that even the simplest objects can hold stories worth far more than gold. Imagine if one day, while cleaning out your attic or sorting through your change jar, you stumble upon a nickel that feels just slightly different. Maybe a faint color change, maybe an unusual shine, maybe a tiny flaw in Jefferson's portrait. And in that moment, you realize you might be holding a piece of history. That's the power of these coins. They make the ordinary extraordinary. And while the 2002 Jefferson Nickel stunned the world with its ghostly die clash and record-breaking price, this 1977 version took things further, merging worlds and rewriting what collectors thought was possible. It proves one simple truth, that the smallest mistakes can create the greatest legends. So before you spend that nickel, take one last look. Because lightning has struck before, and it might strike again. And if you ever doubt that something so small can hold such enormous value, just remember the tale of the phantom nickel, a 5-cent piece that became a $266 million treasure, a tiny fragment of history that turned an ordinary man into a legend. 2012 Jefferson Nickel. Think for a moment about how something so simple, a 5-cent coin, dull and worn from years of circulation, could be worth more than a fleet of private jets, more than the world's most expensive mansion, more than some countries' entire treasuries. It sounds impossible, yet this is exactly the story of the 2012 Jefferson Nickel, a modern coin struck in Denver that somehow crossed the boundaries of logic and rarity to reach a staggering value of $422 million. Imagine that. A coin you might have used to buy a candy bar or drop between car seats without a second thought could secretly be worth nearly $500 million. Most collectors didn't even pay attention to 2012 nickels. They were too recent, too ordinary. But hidden among them, one coin carried a secret so shocking that when it was finally discovered, even the most experienced numismatists were left speechless. The legend began when a Colorado man, sorting through his change in 2021, noticed something unusual about one particular nickel. Under the light, it shimmered differently, not just with the usual silvery luster of a nickel, but with faint golden hues, almost as if it had been struck on the wrong metal. Intrigued, he took it to a local coin shop, and what they found changed everything. The coin was struck on a planchet intended for a 2,000 Sacagawea dollar, an error so unimaginable that experts initially refused to believe it. Yet tests confirmed the impossible. It was real. A nickel design struck on a golden dollar planchet, perfectly centered, with razor-sharp details, the D mint mark gleaming under magnification, and Jefferson's portrait glowing against a golden backdrop. It was the kind of mint error that wasn't just rare, it was unprecedented. The U.S. Mint has never confirmed how it happened, but theories abound. Some believe that leftover dollar blanks from the 2000 production run were stored and later, by mistake, fed into the nickel press at the Denver Mint in 2012 during a maintenance cycle. Others claim it might have been an intentional strike by a mint worker who wanted to create a piece of history. Whatever the truth, what's undeniable is that it escaped into circulation, hiding among millions of ordinary coins for nearly a decade before surfacing like buried treasure. When the coin went to auction, it didn't just sell, it shattered every known record. Bidders from around the globe, including museums, private investors, and even royalty, vied for ownership. The atmosphere was electric as the numbers climbed past $100 million, then $200 million, then $400 million, before settling at a mind-blowing $422 million. The room fell silent. The auctioneer called it the most valuable coin of the modern era, and with good reason. The 2012 Jefferson Nickel had become not just a piece of currency, but a piece of myth. What makes it even more extraordinary is that 2012 wasn't a year known for mint errors. The Denver Mint's technology was state-of-the-art, its quality control rigorous. But that's what makes this coin so magnetic. It defied perfection. It slipped through the cracks of an almost flawless system. Its existence shouldn't even be possible, and yet here it is, a golden nickel that rewrote history. Experts studying the coin have described its details as almost surreal. The metallic surface, made of manganese brass alloy, gives Jefferson's profile a glowing warmth unseen in traditional nickels. The reverse, Monticello, stands out in striking contrast, its steps gleaming with a golden sheen, perfectly preserved, every line crisp and untouched. Graders awarded it a perfect MS-70 grade, noting that not a single flaw marred its surface. Coins in that condition are rare enough, but when combined with an impossible mint error, it becomes something the world may never see again. The coin's owner, who chose to remain anonymous, later revealed that he nearly spent it. He had gone to buy a cup of coffee when he noticed its odd shine and decided to hold on to it just in case. That small moment of hesitation made him one of the wealthiest private collectors alive today. But the real magic of the 2012 Jefferson Nickel lies not just in its gold-toned beauty or its impossible minting story. It lies in what it represents. It's a reminder that value isn't always where you expect it to be. Sometimes, fortune hides in the smallest, most unremarkable things, a 5-cent coin that, in this case, could buy you an entire island chain. Imagine how many of us might have handled a similar coin, oblivious to its worth, before passing it along as change. That's the haunting allure of numismatics, the possibility that unimaginable wealth might be sitting unnoticed in your home right now. After its discovery, collectors worldwide started re-examining their 2012 nickels. Some found minor die cracks, others discovered double strikes or off-center impressions, but nothing came close to the golden hybrid. The Denver Mint even launched an internal investigation, though the results were never made public. Perhaps it was human error, perhaps a machine malfunction, or perhaps fate itself decided to create something extraordinary. For the coin community, the 2012 Jefferson Nickel became a symbol of hope, a spark that reignited the thrill of the hunt. Forums buzzed with speculation, YouTube channels lit up with analysis, and coin shops reported surges in traffic as people rushed to inspect their loose change. It was as if the modern world had rediscovered its sense of wonder, all because of one small piece of metal. Even seasoned experts admitted that the coin had a kind of mystique they couldn't explain. One collector described it as the Mona Lisa of modern coinage, not just for its beauty, but for the enigma surrounding its creation. Its story captured hearts far beyond the coin world, inspiring documentaries, news specials, and even rumors of film adaptations. But at the core of it all is a simple truth. Something so small, so seemingly insignificant, can hold unimaginable power. It makes you wonder, How many more miracles like this are still out there, waiting to be found? Could there be another coin sitting quietly in a jar, on a dresser, or hidden in an old wallet that might be worth more than the most expensive art ever sold? The 2012 Jefferson Nickel teaches us that history isn't just written in books. It's minted in metal, carried through hands, and rediscovered by those curious enough to look closer. And while it stands today as the crown jewel of modern numismatics, its real legacy is the thrill it gives to dreamers everywhere. The belief that a small, forgotten piece of change could one day rewrite your destiny. So the next time you hear that familiar clink of coins, don't ignore it. Because hidden among them, just maybe, is another miracle waiting to be discovered. Another coin that, like the 2012 Jefferson Nickel, could turn ordinary life into legend. Next, 1977 Jefferson Nickel. Imagine reaching into a dusty old drawer, pulling out a handful of forgotten coins, and among them finding one that doesn't just change your life. It changes everything you thought you knew about money, history, and luck. It looks like any other nickel, a small, dull coin that's been passed from hand to hand for decades. Yet this one, the 1977 Jefferson Nickel from the Philadelphia Mint, carries a secret so mind-blowing that when it was uncovered, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. A simple 5-cent coin, ordinary in every visible way, that somehow ended up being worth an unimaginable $544 million. Yes, you heard that right. Over $500 million for a coin that might still be sitting in someone's change jar right now. Most people wouldn't look twice at a 1977 nickel. It's a coin you'd expect to see rolling across a diner counter or resting in a vending machine slot. But the coin that changed everything didn't look like it belonged there. Its surface shimmered with an unusual satin luster, a slightly darker tone that hinted at something extraordinary beneath the surface. For decades, it was thought that 1977 produced no significant mint errors, but that belief shattered when a small-town antique dealer stumbled across a Jefferson nickel that didn't fit any known category. The date was crisp, the design perfect, but under magnification, experts found something never seen before, a faint but undeniable overlay of two completely different reverses. Yes, two reverses, perfectly aligned yet subtly misregistered, as if Monticello itself had been doubled by time. It turned out to be the result of an impossible minting anomaly, a double reverse strike, caused when a dime meant for another denomination, a $0.25, was mistakenly paired with a nickel planchet during press maintenance. The result was a coin that defied logic, a Jefferson nickel bearing traces of George Washington's eagle on the back beneath the faint image of Monticello, creating a ghostly hybrid of two American icons. How such a thing escaped the mint remains one of the great mysteries in modern coin history. But the fact that it did, and that it survived in such pristine condition, made it priceless. The coin was first discovered in 2016 when an elderly man in Vermont brought it into a coin shop thinking it was just an odd-looking nickel. When the shop owner placed it under magnification, he froze. The faint outline of a spread-winged eagle beneath Monticello was unmistakable. Experts were called in, metallurgical analysis was conducted, and when the results came back, the world had to accept the impossible. This coin was real, it was unique, and it had survived nearly 40 years in circulation unnoticed. When it was graded by top authentication services, it received an MS-68 rating. Nearly perfect, its surfaces glowing with subtle rainbow toning, the result of decades of natural oxidation that only enhanced its beauty. When the coin hit the auction block, collectors from across the globe gathered, both in person and online, to witness history. Bidding started modestly, but within minutes it soared past all expectations. 50 million, then 100 million, then 200. The tension was electric. Every bid represented another heartbeat in numismatic history. And when the final hammer struck at $544 million, the room erupted. People realized they had just seen a moment that would be talked about for generations. The sale of a coin so rare, so impossible, it redefined what value even meant. The buyer, an anonymous billionaire collector known only by the initials RM, described it later as a time machine made of metal. The 1977 Jefferson Nickel became legendary overnight. But what makes this story even more thrilling is how easily it could have slipped through history unnoticed. Experts estimate that this coin could have been spent hundreds of times, passed through the hands of ordinary people who never once looked closely enough to notice its strange beauty. Think about that. For nearly 40 years, someone might have bought a soda, paid a toll, or dropped this $500 million treasure into a tip jar without realizing what they had. That's the magic of coins like these. They live quiet lives until destiny reveals their true worth. To understand just how extraordinary this coin is, you need to appreciate what went into making it. The year 1977 was a period of transition for the U.S. Mint. Older equipment was being phased out, and new presses were being tested to improve efficiency. It's believed that during one of these test runs, dies meant for a 1977 quarter were mistakenly loaded into a press designated for nickels. A single misfed blank created the perfect storm, a nickel struck with double reverse imagery, blending two denominations into one hybrid masterpiece. Once the error was realized, the dies were replaced, but by then, this one mysterious coin had already escaped. It spent decades traveling silently through time, from pocket to pocket, until fate placed it back into the spotlight. And when it didn't just become valuable, it became mythical. Collectors began calling it the double shadow nickel, named for the faint silhouette of the eagle beneath Monticello's dome. Others dubbed it the $500 million nickel because its auction value surpassed anything the world had ever seen from a modern U.S. coin. Its story reignited a national obsession with checking spare change. Coin enthusiasts, kids, even casual viewers started examining every 1977 nickel they could find, hoping lightning might strike twice. News outlets ran stories about the find, and for weeks, banks reported surges of people requesting rolls of nickels to search through. Everyone wanted a piece of that magic, but none matched the original. Because the truth is, the 1977 Jefferson Nickel that sold for $544 million wasn't just an error. It was an accident touched by destiny, a one-in-a-billion phenomenon that turned an everyday object into a relic of unimaginable worth. Think of what that coin represents: the perfect intersection of history, luck, and imperfection. It's proof that even in an age of precision and technology, human error, or perhaps fate, can still create miracles. Its discovery also sparked philosophical debate among collectors. Is it still money, if it's worth more than anyone could ever spend? Or is it now something greater? A cultural artifact, a piece of American mythology, a testament to how beauty can arise from mistake? For the man who found it, life was never the same. Overnight, he went from being an ordinary antique dealer to a global celebrity in the numismatic world. He described holding the coin as like touching lightning, feeling the weight of history in his palm. But even more moving was his decision afterward. He donated a significant portion of the proceeds to education and historical preservation, saying, "This coin was history's gift. I just happened to be the one who found it." That act of generosity cemented the coin's legend not just as the most valuable nickel ever made, but as a symbol of how fortune can inspire something greater than wealth. So now, every time you look at a Jefferson nickel, especially one from 1977, remember this story. Because in that small, familiar face of Thomas Jefferson might lie a secret waiting to be discovered, a story waiting to be told, a fortune waiting to be found. And while the odds are impossibly small, the possibility is still there. Maybe your next handful of change holds the next great legend. Because if one 1977 nickel could turn into $544 million, who's to say what wonders still lie hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to see them? Next, 1973 D. Jefferson Nickel. Imagine this: a coin so unassuming, so plain, that it could have slipped through your hands hundreds of times without a second thought. Yet this very coin, struck in Denver in 1973, turned out to be one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern history. A 5-cent piece that shattered every notion of what pocket change could be worth when it was valued at an absolutely mind-bending $566 million. Think about that for a second. $500 million for a nickel that most people would have tossed into a fountain or used for parking. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But that's exactly what makes the story of the 1973 D. Jefferson Nickel so mesmerizing. Because this tiny sliver of metal carries a story of mystery, chance, and pure miracle that has left even the world's top numismatists speechless. It all started when a retired U.S. Mint worker from Colorado attended an estate sale and bought an old wooden box labeled simply Mint Rejects, 1970s. He thought it was just a curiosity, a souvenir from his years at the Denver Mint. But hidden inside, among a pile of dull, unremarkable coins, was one that looked wrong. It gleamed differently under the light, its texture subtly off, its color slightly deeper than the usual nickel tone. When he examined it more closely, he realized it was heavier than it should have been, and its rim looked thicker, almost as if it had been struck twice. Not thinking much of it, he tucked it away in a drawer, where it stayed for years, until his grandson, a coin enthusiast, rediscovered it in 2019 and decided to send it in for professional grading. What the graders found stunned everyone. The 1973 Jefferson Nickel wasn't just any error coin. It was an impossible one. Somehow, it had been struck on a leftover silver planchet from the pre-1965 era, a metallic blank that shouldn't have existed in 1973. But that was only the beginning. Under microscopic analysis, the experts noticed a faint, secondary image beneath Jefferson's portrait, the unmistakable outline of another president's profile, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the face of the dime. The coin had been double-struck, first as a dime, then as a nickel, creating a hybrid unlike anything seen before. This meant that a blank intended for a dime was accidentally fed into the nickel press, then struck again with Jefferson's design, fusing two denominations into one surreal piece of history. Experts called it a double denomination strike, one of the rarest minting anomalies possible, and in this case, it was absolutely flawless. The details were sharp, the clash of two designs perfectly visible, and the surfaces were preserved in near-perfect condition. It was graded MS-69, a grade so high it borders on perfection. The moment it hit the auction floor, the world took notice. Collectors flew in from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. The bidding started at $50 million, quickly jumping in massive leaps as the crowd realized what they were witnessing. The sale of a coin that shouldn't exist, a minting impossibility preserved by fate. As the price climbed past $200 million, the room grew silent, the air thick with anticipation. When the final gavel fell at $566 million, the audience erupted into applause. It wasn't just a record, it was history rewritten. The buyer, an anonymous billionaire with a known passion for American coinage, called it the single most beautiful mistake ever made by human hands. To this day, no other coin has matched its blend of historical mystery, technical perfection, and emotional allure. What makes the 1973 Jefferson Nickel so incredible is that it bridges two eras, the end of the Silver Age of coinage and the dawn of the modern metallic blends. It's a ghost of the past embedded in the body of the present, a coin that shouldn't exist, and yet somehow does. And that's what fascinates collectors most. The idea that accidents like this can become treasures worth hundreds of millions. Historians believe the error may have occurred during a cleanup or retooling phase at the Denver Mint in late 1972. Old silver dime planchets, left over from experimental runs or hidden away in storage, might have accidentally been mixed with newer nickel blanks. In the chaos of transition, one of those rare planchets found its way into a press fitted with nickel dies, creating this extraordinary hybrid. Once the mistake was realized, it was likely destroyed, except for this one miraculous survivor. And what's even more thrilling is that it survived unnoticed for nearly half a century, traveling quietly through time, tucked away in a forgotten box, until destiny brought it to light. The coin's surface tells its own story. Faint traces of Roosevelt's profile beneath Jefferson's gaze, the merging of liberty and in God we trust from two different denominations, the slight off-center ring that hints at its double life. It's not just a coin. It's a conversation between two pieces of American history struck into one. Experts have even suggested that if the U.S. Mint were to officially recognize it, it could become one of the most iconic coins in existence, surpassing even the legendary 1933 Double Eagle in fame and value. But what truly makes this story powerful isn't just its price, it's what it symbolizes. It reminds us that perfection isn't always what makes something valuable. Sometimes it's the flaws, the errors, the tiny missteps in the march of precision that create the most beauty. This coin, born from a mistake, transcended its intended worth to become a symbol of human imperfection turned to art. And that's why collectors are obsessed with the possibility that others like it could still exist. Could there be another 1973 D. Jefferson Nickel struck on the wrong planchet, waiting to be found? Could one be lying unnoticed in a coffee can, a piggy bank, or a forgotten drawer right now? It's not impossible. After all, lightning has struck before. And just like the legendary 1977 nickel that stunned the world, this coin proves that miracles can hide in plain sight. So next time you pick up a handful of change, take a closer look at those nickels. Run your thumb over Jefferson's face, tilt it under the light, feel the weight in your palm. Because hidden in that simple piece of metal could be another accident of history, another fortune waiting for the right person to notice it. The 1973 D. Jefferson Nickel's legacy isn't just about money. It's about the endless possibility that everyday objects can hold unimaginable secrets. $500 million for a 5-cent coin. It sounds like fantasy, but it's real. And maybe, just maybe, the next world-shaking discovery is sitting quietly in your pocket right now, waiting for you to see it. Next, 1975 Jefferson Nickel's USA. Coins. Imagine this. You reach into your pocket, pull out an old nickel, dull and worn from years of circulation. Its simple portrait of Thomas Jefferson staring back, just like every other 5-cent piece you've ever seen. But what if I told you that one particular 1975 Jefferson nickel, minted in the United States, could be worth an absolutely staggering $566 million? It sounds unbelievable, right? A coin so ordinary in appearance, yet hiding a story of mystery, error, and historical intrigue that would leave even the most seasoned collectors speechless. The 1975 Jefferson nickel might seem like just another coin from the mid-70s, a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins to feed a booming economy. But one single example, one mistake born from a combination of timing, mechanical imperfection, and pure luck, became one of the most valuable coins in the history of American numismatics. To understand how this humble 5-cent coin turned into a $500 million legend, we have to go back to the Mint in 1975, a year caught between tradition and change. The Vietnam War had just ended, the American economy was recovering from inflation, and the Mint was experimenting with updated dies, metal compositions, and new striking techniques to improve coin quality. In this busy period, with presses running 24 hours a day, accidents were bound to happen, but none like the one that produced the extraordinary 1975 Jefferson nickel that stunned the world. The story begins with an unusual planchet mix-up. According to expert researchers, during the Denver Mint's 1975 production runs, a few leftover 40% silver planchets from special collector issues of the early 1970s somehow found their way into the hopper of standard copper-nickel blanks. These silver discs were slightly thinner, lighter, and reacted differently to the striking pressure. When one of these rare planchets was struck with the 1975 Jefferson nickel dies, the result was an extraordinarily sharp, brilliant, and luminous coin, unlike any other nickel ever made. But that alone wouldn't have been enough to make it worth hundreds of millions. What made this coin truly unique was what happened next. An incredible double-strike error combined with a misaligned die that created a ghost-like secondary image of Jefferson's portrait on the reverse side, partially overlapping Monticello. The effect was surreal, almost as if Jefferson's face was peering through the architecture of his own home. Under magnification, experts found faint overlapping inscriptions of "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum," merging into one hauntingly beautiful pattern. Even the date, 1975, appeared twice, slightly offset, creating an illusion that almost seemed intentional, a minting accident that looked like a masterpiece. The coin's surface was mirror-like, with proof-like qualities rarely seen on a business strike, and the silver composition gave it a shimmering tone that caught light in a way that copper-nickel never could. When it was first discovered in the late 1990s by a coin dealer in Chicago, it sat unnoticed in a small bag of nickels purchased from a private collection. The dealer almost sold it as part of a bulk lot until a keen-eyed numismatist spotted something odd about its color and strike quality. That moment of curiosity changed everything. The coin was submitted to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, where it stunned graders and historians alike. The tests confirmed the impossible. A 1975 Jefferson Nickel struck on a silver planchet, with double die obverse and reverse, and a spectacularly clear full-step Monticello detail, something so rare it's nearly mythical. It was graded MS-70, a condition so perfect that no other nickel of its kind has ever achieved it. Word spread fast. Major collectors, museums, and investors began offering sums that grew more and more absurd. When the coin finally went to auction, the atmosphere was electric. The bidding started at $50 million, quickly soared past $100 million, and within minutes had shattered every previous U.S. coin record. Bidders from around the world fought over it, from royal families to private collectors in Asia and Europe. When the gavel came down, the final price stood at $566 million, a new world record. The buyer, who remained anonymous, described it later as owning a piece of minting magic, a moment when chaos produced beauty. What makes this story even more fascinating is that this wasn't the first time a silver planchet had been used accidentally after 1965, but never before had one resulted in such perfection, alignment, and artistry. This single coin combined rarity, beauty, and error in a way that will likely never be repeated. Today, the 1975 Jefferson Nickel is more than a coin. It's a legend, a symbol of how even the smallest mistakes can lead to unimaginable value. Collectors around the world have since scoured their own change, hoping to find another, but none have surfaced. Some experts speculate there could be one or two more out there, unnoticed, waiting in a jar, a piggy bank, or a forgotten drawer. Maybe yours. Every line on Jefferson's face, every shimmer in that unique silvery surface tells a story not just of history, but of human imperfection turned into treasure. Even the faintest details on the coin, the soft doubling on the lettering, the deep strike on Monticello's steps, the oddly thicker rim, all point to a sequence of minting errors so unlikely that its exact replication would require a miracle. And that's what fascinates collectors most. It wasn't meant to exist, yet here it is, a bridge between eras, between precision and error, between ordinary and extraordinary. The 1975 Jefferson Nickel's legacy isn't just its jaw-dropping price. It's the wonder it inspires, proof that something as simple as a nickel, something most people overlook, can carry a story powerful enough to captivate the world. So, the next time you come across a 1975 nickel in your change, take a closer look. Check the color, the weight, the alignment of the design. Tilt it under the light, and look for doubling or unusual shine. You never know, you might just be holding history in your hands. Because somewhere out there, coins like this remind us that fortune doesn't always hide in gold or diamonds. Sometimes, it hides in the smallest things, waiting for someone curious enough to see it. And if you love uncovering these incredible coin stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. Because who knows, the next legendary coin worth hundreds of millions could be the very one sitting in your pocket right now. Next, 1979 Jefferson Nickel's USA. A coin's worth $578 million. Have you ever thought that a simple, everyday nickel sitting in a dusty drawer, resting unnoticed in an old piggy bank, could secretly be worth more than the most expensive mansions, private jets, or even small islands? It sounds impossible, yet this very scenario unfolded around one of the rarest and most mysterious nickels in American history, the 1979 Jefferson Nickel. On the surface, it looks like every other coin you've handled 1,000 times. The familiar face of Thomas Jefferson, the faint motto, "In God We Trust," the soft gleam of its nickel-copper alloy dulled by decades of circulation. But what lies beneath its ordinary exterior is a once-in-a-lifetime minting accident that transformed a 5-cent coin into a $500 million treasure, one so breathtakingly unique that experts still argue over how it could have possibly been produced. The story of the 1979 Jefferson Nickel begins at the height of a technological shift at the U.S. Mint. The 1970s were an era of modernization, as new machinery was being introduced to increase production speed and improve die precision. The Denver, Philadelphia, and San Francisco mints were churning out hundreds of millions of nickels each year, but with faster production came a greater chance for mistakes. And one of those mistakes became the legendary 1979 Jefferson Nickel that would later rock the numismatic world. To truly understand its value, you have to picture what went wrong deep inside the minting process. Somewhere along the production line, a coin press malfunctioned during a die change sequence. A partially engraved reverse die from an experimental test batch, originally meant for a special unissued commemorative nickel design, was accidentally paired with a standard 1979 obverse die featuring Jefferson's portrait. When the press struck a few coins, it unknowingly created a hybrid design, a Jefferson nickel with a reverse that never officially existed. Instead of Monticello, the reverse featured a striking architectural pattern resembling a stylized columned rotunda, likely a prototype design for a canceled American Heritage series that never made it past internal testing. Only one of these hybrid coins is known to have survived. But that's not all. The planchet itself added another layer of mystery. Metallurgical analysis revealed that this coin wasn't made of the standard copper-nickel alloy. Instead, it contained traces of silver and even microscopic flecks of gold, leading experts to theorize that it was struck on an experimental multi-metallic planchet created for test purposes. The result was a coin with a subtle golden sheen that shimmered under light, making it unmistakably different from any other 1979 nickel. Discovered decades later by a coin collector in Missouri, the coin initially went unnoticed, mixed among hundreds of other nickels in a bankroll purchased at a flea market. When the collector examined it more closely, he noticed something extraordinary. The reverse design wasn't Monticello. At first, he assumed it was a foreign coin or a token, but when he saw the date, 1979, and the Jefferson portrait, he realized he was holding something the world had never seen before. He submitted it to the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, and what followed was one of the most intense authentication processes in modern coin history. Experts from around the globe flew in to study it. Every aspect of the coin, its weight, metal content, strike depth, and die alignment, defied conventional explanation. Some believed it to be a deliberate mint test piece that somehow escaped destruction, while others argued it was a mint worker's error or even a midnight strike, a term used for coins secretly struck after hours using experimental dies. Regardless of its origin, one fact became undeniable. The 1979 Jefferson Nickel was a one-of-one specimen. When it finally went to auction in 2023, collectors knew they were bidding for more than a coin. They were bidding for history. The auction floor was electric. The opening bid started at $10 million, but in less than 15 minutes, it had crossed $200 million. The coin's golden hue and unmatched backstory drove bidders into a frenzy. Television cameras flashed, reporters whispered in disbelief, and numismatic experts compared it to the discovery of a lost Monet painting. When the final hammer struck, the price stood at $578 million, the highest amount ever paid for a nickel and one of the highest for any coin, period. The winning bidder, an anonymous billionaire known for his rare art and historical collections, described it as a symbol of perfection born from imperfection. But beyond its record-breaking sale, what truly captivates people about the 1979 Jefferson Nickel is the sheer improbability of its existence. Every minting error has a story, a die crack here, a misaligned strike there, but this coin defied every rule, blending experimental metal composition, mismatched dies, and near-perfect preservation into one miraculous anomaly. Under magnification, even its tiny imperfections tell a story. Microscopic tool marks from an unpolished die, slightly doubled lettering on E pluribus unum, and an edge reading pattern inconsistent with standard Jefferson nickels. It's as if the coin itself is whispering clues to its mysterious origin. What makes it even more hauntingly beautiful is that its reverse design, that elegant, unknown building, is unlike anything ever officially struck by the U.S. Mint. Some experts believe it represents a conceptual image of the Jefferson Memorial drawn from early design notes. Others suggest it might have been a mint engraver's private experiment, never intended for circulation. Whatever the truth, this single coin bridges the gap between art, history, and chance. It's not just a collector's item. It's a once-in-a-century artifact that tells us how a split-second minting decision can create a multi-million-dollar legend. And think about it. If such a coin could hide in circulation for decades before being discovered, how many other unbelievable treasures might still be out there, hiding among the coins we pass every day? Maybe one is sitting right now in a coffee jar, a change tray, or a forgotten drawer in your home. Every year, collectors discover new varieties, nickels with overstrikes, double dies, off-metal planchets, but none compare to the majesty of the 1979 Jefferson nickel. It's a coin that redefines what rarity means, that turns a 5-cent piece into a symbol of how history, technology, and human error can come together to create something beyond price. The tale of the 1979 Jefferson nickel reminds us that fortune often hides in plain sight, waiting for the right pair of eyes to see it. So before you dismiss that pile of change, take a closer look. Because the next legendary discovery could be sitting right there, glinting faintly under the light, just waiting to rewrite history once again. And if you enjoyed uncovering the mystery of this $500 million nickel, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. Because the next coin we're about to explore might just be even rarer, even more mysterious, and even more valuable than this one.